Time to take a load off. Ugh. I bet I got a mark on my forehead.
Yep, you do.
Do they match?
Definitely.
I'm out of breath. It has been a busy week. We've had a lot of things going on. On top of that, somebody fell down the stairs and broke a rib.
Somebody.
Yeah, Andrea fell, and we think she broke a rib. Either way, her rib is very, very sore, so she has not been able to do a lot. So in the meantime, we kind of let the garden, it was just a few days that we were not as diligent in the garden, and we had a slight frost, which killed a lot of our leaves on the squash and some on the tomatoes. But tonight, it is supposed to freeze, clear down to 31 degrees. The first frost, it was still 36 degrees. Tonight, it's supposed to get down to 31. And so we went and picked most of the tomatoes, all the ones that we couldn't easily cover. And we have 500 pounds of tomatoes. It's kind of late. We did it in the dark because we were just going to cover them, but then decided that everything was half dead anyway, so we just picked them. But now we can figure out what to do with all these tomatoes. So that's going to be our week this week.
So I went out to the garage to grab some food out of the freezer, and I heard a funny rustling noise. So I came and looked out the garage door, and there was a goat standing right here, eating this plant and pooping on my front porch. And there are the culprits. Notice the dangling rope off of their necks. There you are, you stinkers. Good catch. What do you walk to, Ghost? Tricky.
Goats mush! Go, Goaty McGoatface! Yeah! Giddy up!
We have kept this garden covered for 2 days now. We had 2 nights of freezing. It's not supposed to freeze for another few days, if at all. I don't know how much it actually even froze. There was a chance of it. It's supposed to get down to 31. I think the coldest it got was 36. So not everything died. We did have a frost a couple weeks ago which killed a lot of these tomatoes off. But we're gonna undercover these. These are tomatoes hiding under there. We're gonna uncover those and see what things look like. We picked most of the tomatoes, but there's probably about a third of them left that we didn't pick because we were doing it in the dark and it was getting late.
Well, you can see just a little bit of damage to some of these leaves. I think that was that first frost. But for the most part, the leaves look really good in there. You can see these leaves. So I don't think
They got hurt at all by this frost.
Look at all these tomatoes in there. These things are loaded.
We'll probably get another 3 boxes of tomatoes out of here. Were they about 25 pounds a box, we figured? So about 75 pounds worth of tomatoes still left to pick out of here. So we might just leave these ones and pick them as they ripen until we get close to another frost.
No! Come back! Not even close. It's time to harvest our onions, and we actually probably should have done this a couple weeks ago, but we just step on the tops of them. We're just pushing down the plant part that's growing up, and it's supposed to help them ripen and cure and be ready to eat. So, just gonna stomp on some onions.
Alright, last but not least in here, if we can get to it, we're going to uncover all these squash, this huge tarp. It's going to be a bit of a chore. We'll see how they did. I think they did just fine. There's enough leaves sticking out that weren't covered that are not damaged, so I think everything underneath is fine. Like I said before, they did get damaged in a frost a couple weeks ago, but it was just the top leaves. So they're going to look bad, but the plants are still alive. They're doing okay, and they'll keep growing pumpkins, so we're going to leave them for now.
Why are you back in here? Who said you guys could come in?
So these are obviously frost damaged, but there's enough leaves on every plant that the plant is surviving and still feeding nutrients into the actual squash. So we will leave them and let them continue to grow. Some of the squash we could probably start pulling off because I think it's ripe already, but we'll just leave it for now, and then when it gets closer to freezing again, we'll pull them off of there.
So getting frost like this is common for us this time of year. I think usually September 15th is our average first frost date. I think that's what the almanac says. But we can often get these to grow in through almost the end of October. That's usually what we shoot for, is to keep them on there as long as we possibly can and just keep getting some size and let them cure naturally like that. Once it gets a really cold frost, like last year, it was like the 1st of October, it got down to like 7 degrees one night. It got crazy cold and we had to pull everything before that. So hopefully this year it won't do that, but we'll just kind of go day by day and see how long we can keep things growing out here.
Here's a few things that are untouched by the frost. There's our lettuce and our kale. And then down at the very end, we've got just a touch of Swiss chard growing amongst the weeds. The kale we can start harvesting. Everything else needs a little bit more time.
This is our first time growing it this late in the season, and so we'll see how long we can actually keep it going as it gets colder and colder. But I'm hoping that we can keep harvesting some of this until about the time we get snow. So we'll do what we can with that. Please, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe. If you can share this on your social media, that also helps us out, gets it out to more people to see. But we will catch you guys next video.